potentially coming up in a few minutes.
Investigators still very tight-lipped about finding Jacque Waller's remains.
Sources tell us they were located in southern Illinois near the Mississippi River. So far, no one will comment on how she might have died. Tomorrow marks 2 years since Waller disappeared. Her husband Clay remains in the Cape Girardeau County Jail. He faces charges of first-degree murder and tampering with evidence in connection with Jacque's death.
It's a story that gripped the heartland and even the nation. As you likely know by now, those remains recovered this week by authorities. And we've been following the story since the beginning. Tonight, Crystal Britt takes us back, highlighting the Waller case over the last 2 years.
June 2nd, 2011, the day after Jacque Waller disappeared.
Dozens of officers are now working this case.
Authorities came to us asking for help finding this missing woman.
Definitely want to find out where she is or what's happened to her.
An all-out search began for this mother of 3.
It means so much just to know that she has so many friends and that love her.
Immediately, Jacque's family became surrounded by love and support from the community.
We need you to pick us up and to carry us.
The first vigil put together by Jacque's work friends in Cape Girardeau.
I felt helpless and I wanted to do something.
Jacque was last seen outside of her soon-to-be ex-husband Clay Waller's house in Jackson on June 1st, 2011. Her SUV found on the interstate the next day with a flat tire. Shortly after, Clay Waller was named a person of interest. Jacque's parents believed all along he was involved.
Just don't have any other hope, really, that they'll find her alive.
Friends continued to organize vigils, and search crews refused to give up.
We won't stop until she's brought home.
Jacque's parents, while weary, kept up enough strength to talk with us on multiple occasions, keeping this story alive.
I can't stand the thoughts not knowing where she is.
In July of 2011,
that's a significant find for us.
Jacque's business cards were found off of Highway 177, and days later,
we wanted to come home alive.
Clay Waller talked to me in his first television interview.
I mean, there's a lot of emotions that are running high right now.
Meanwhile, search efforts continued.
Clay, do you have any comment?
Then in late July of that year, Clay Waller was arrested in Malden on stealing and harassment charges, both irrelevant to Jacque's disappearance. Then in September, federal charges, accused of threatening his wife's sister online. He would then plead guilty and was sentenced to 5 years behind bars. Then that November, new clues surface. Jacque Waller's purse found along I-55 not far from where her SUV was left on the interstate.
Hoping that it's something that'll turn a new leads.
Then in April of 2012, Clay Waller charged with murder. He was brought from a federal prison in Louisiana back to Cape County. He entered a not guilty plea in August. Through the course of the several court hearings, we learned more details about this case, like the blood evidence investigators say they found in the house where Clay Waller was living, evidence on the walls and on the carpet that was ripped out and hidden away in a basement crawl space.
Let's go.
As the legal process played out, the searches continued, most recently pretty heavily here in the Devil's Island area of Alexander County, Illinois. It's this area where sources tell us Jacque's remains were recovered this week. Relief for a family who can now lay their loved one to rest.
Been like an open wound for 2 years, and now at least we'll start to heal.
Crystal Britt, Heartland News.
And we understand the family hopes to have a funeral for Jacque next week.
Well, as much as finding Jacque's remains helps bring closure to her family, it might also help bring closure to the legal case. Christy Millward joins us live at 6 with more on that part of the story. Christy?
Well, Kathy, today I talked to a Southeast Missouri State professor of criminal justice to understand what this week's developments mean for the case. Dr. Andrew Fulkerson says, first of all, finding Jacque's remains shows that there was a death and the case is no longer just a missing person. Fulkerson says now a medical examiner can complete an autopsy and possibly reveal evidence to add to the case. From that, he says they might be able to answer a lot of questions that have gone unanswered up to this point.
Well, finding the body is extremely important in a case. It provides a tremendous opportunity to get more evidence. Now the medical examiner can do a complete autopsy of the victim. This provides opportunities to learn much more about the cause and manner of death of the victim. It can answer a lot of questions that the state may have to prove.
Fulkerson says this can now also affect a sentencing since there will be more evidence in the case. Again, authorities are not releasing many details at this time on the location of Jackie's remains, how they found her, or the status of the case. Live, local, late-breaking, Christy Millward, Heartland News.
Meantime, family and friends will take part in the Jacque Waller 5K tomorrow, the second anniversary of her disappearance. Race kicks off at 8:30 at the Shawnee concession stand in Cape Girardeau. Look for coverage tomorrow on Heartland News, and you can find out more about the Waller case right now at KFVS12.com.